Hi, my name is Clare Cope and I'm part of the faculty of the Executive Coaching Academy. And I'm here with Sharon Pearson, the founder of the Executive Coaching Academy. How are you, Sharon?
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
I wanted to have a chat with you today around the foundation of the Executive Coaching Academy and just sort of exploring why it was set up, who it's ideal for, and just sort of giving a bit of a grounding for it. So let's start off with, where did the idea actually come from?
Okay, so as you know, I own the Coaching Institute. We started that about 10 years ago or 9 years ago, and that has done a wonderful job of serving people in the community who want to become full-time life coaches or NLP coaches.
Yes.
In the diploma program, it did cater a little bit. It does cater a little bit for people who want to be leadership coaches, but it doesn't have anything specific for the executive or the up-and-coming leader, the leader in development who's within an organisation, or for somebody who wants to specialise in providing the service of executive and leadership coaching. So whilst there are modules there, there's not an actual certification in this. So it's for two main reasons. So if you're in this program, it's one, because you are an executive or an up-and-coming leader or a leader who wants to have the additional executive and leadership language and skills that are needed in terms of coaching, facilitation and change work, transformational work. And it's also for the person who is working currently or wants to work as a professional coach, so as an external provider within an organisation, and who's hired to come in within and provide those same solutions, but as an external provider. And it's very focused on the executive coaching and leadership skills. It's not a life coaching program. So the TCI, the Coaching Institute, is very much the life coaching side of it and NLP coaching side of it, public speaking side of it, whereas this is absolutely, as you know, because you're such a big part of our faculty, is only dealing with executive workplace leadership coaching and to some extent some business coaching, and the tools we need to be as effective communicator, effective change agent as we can be within an organisation as an internal employee or as an external provider. So that's why it is. And TCI does a good job with many of that, but it does not go into the level of detail that we have been able to provide through TECA, not even close to the detail that's needed to be a proficient and high-performing executive coach. So high-performing executive coaches are operating at a senior level. They're working with the directors of the organisations, the senior executive team, boards even. They're working at a level where their conversations are not what to do, but how to strategically think about what to do. And that to operate at that high level and to provide value at that level is a completely different set of skills than life coaching, because life coaching is all about asking questions and letting the client come to their own conclusions. Whereas you, as I know, that's not executive coaching. Executive coaching has an agenda that's organisationally, team or individually driven. It's three. It could be any of those three or all of those three, whereas life coaching is all about only the individual. TECA, the executive training, it's the three levels. It's the organisational sponsor, the team sponsor, and the individual sponsor. And what I mean by that is you get hired or you work with a client who has an agenda beyond themselves. And that is a commonality through a lot of executive coaching, that you have an agenda and a sponsor, a desire to hit goals that are just beyond self. You've got to think of your team and you've got to think of the organisational objectives as well. And to create that level of ownership and that level of buy-in from an individual, you're operating at a very high level, because we are not in an economy, we're not in a culture, we're not in a time in history where telling people what to do is going to be enough. You either have buy-in and ownership, and culturally there is a journey that individual will have with the organisation and the team, or it's not working. You have a dysfunctional team. I could talk about this for hours. My passion for high-functioning, culturally driven organisations, teams and individuals is the reason why we have TECA.
So it's essentially addressing a gap in the market in terms of the skill proficiency of coaches. So
specifically executive and leadership coaches.
To executive and leadership coaching. So, given your goal around being high-functioning teams, culturally driven, is that a gap that you perceive in the market that really needs to be filled by some high-level coaches?
So I cannot tell you how much demand there is right now for high-quality, high-functioning coaches. We could not possibly, right now, only 3 days ago I had a conversation with a coach in the United States. She's about to do a reality show throughout the United States. She's the star of the show. And she's saying, where do I find the high-functioning coaches, the coaches who can operate at that level, who can talk the talk of that level, who are comfortable swimming in that pool and don't get overwhelmed or say, I don't have the skills. Or worse still, say, yeah, I'll take the assignment and I'll figure out what to do. They right now need 20 coaches who can operate at that level.
Yeah.
Right now, today.
And can't fill it.
Yeah. So this school is for that person. This school is for those companies who are crying out to us and saying, where are the executive coaches, those high-end, the high performers who understand that it's not just about the bottom line, which is crucial, and you've got to be very good at driving that, but it's also about driving the top line, which is the culture of the organisation, why the high-functioning people will stay with you beyond the dollars. Because if that's what you've got going, just a transaction, that your company's held together with sticky tape because everyone just stays for the money, that is a really bad culture. That means I'll only do it if I get paid. You want a culture where people say, man, I'm doing that. I'm ahead of it. You don't even need to ask me. Of course I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring my passion. And the reason why this is so vital, and I'm so passionate about this, it is not good enough anymore to just do your job as a supplier for your clients. You've got to wow your clients. You've got to work your butt off for your clients. And if you don't have your organization, every single member of that team wanting to wow their clients, you've got a problem because of social media.
Yes.
And because there's such easy access for the clients these days to say what they really think. So the executive coach today isn't just about improving the bottom line. They've got to improve the top line. How we think about how we wow our clients, how we keep our clients close to us and show that we care about them. The conversation is not just one level anymore, and it won't cut it. Organizations these days are not just hiring coaches, you just show them how to make more money. They are hiring like that, and they'll get what they deserve because of that, which is you'll just get clients who do it if they get the money. But we have clients who stay with us, as you know, for 9-10 years, and it stopped being about the money years ago. And it's about, this is part of how I ride. This is part of who I am. I take steps with this coaching institute. I take steps with TECA because you guys ride the way I ride, and we're on the same page in terms of values, in terms of culture, in terms of what you want to create in this world. So our coaches from TECA, that's how we're training them. That they go into these organizations, they can defend, support, protect, and grow the bottom line, but they can also defend, support, protect, and grow the culture. And then you'll always have incredible people driving incredible culture, be an incredible workplace where people want to be, who are committed to wowing their community of clients. So you'll always have clients, so you'll always have a growing organization. To me, the dumbest logic in the world is just hire a coach who's going to show me how to make more money. Because if you get more clients and you don't have an infrastructure in place to wow them and keep them, you've just wasted money.
It's the wrong outcome.
It's the wrong outcome.
Yeah.
So I'm all about making the money. Let's not be wrong. I love growing a company. I'm champion companies all the time. I just champion companies to make more money. But how we show our TECA coaches to get there is not just by driving sales or driving more leads. We can do that easily. But we drive it through creating a culture where high performance is the only way people will ride. Nothing less than that will do. Performance is measured on how you deliver that wow factor, which means when you get a client you spend a lot of money getting, you'll keep them.
Yes.
So
a very big distinction.
Yeah, it is.
So can we start with, it's ideal for two groups of people. So one is a coach, a high-performing individual that wants to be a provider to a business.
Yep.
And the other is people that are already within the business as executives or aspiring leaders or leaders within a business.
Exactly.
To coach
and their
from
teams.
Within, within their team. So if we take the first one around an external provider, obviously TECA is not for everyone, given that it's a high-performing individual. So what is the ideal characteristics of the individual that would be the TECA coach that will enable them to be successful when they're being the provider?
I think experience, a background in organisations, in corporations. Coming to this cold, you could do the program, but whether or not you'll be able to deliver results in an organisation is probably going to take longer. So some experience of being in organisations. You need to know the jargon of organisations. From experience, when I used to do a lot of executive work and business building coaching for different clients, knowing their language, knowing their jargon meant I was an easy fit and I didn't spend a lot of time having to catch up. So knowing the corporate speak that's necessary, the business speak that's necessary, knowing what pushes business owners' buttons and boards of directors' buttons and managers' buttons, you need to know that there are core things they care about, which is performance of team, performance of the bottom results, and how they're going to keep doing it. You need to be able to be comfortable with those conversations. And in the program, obviously, we do stacks of that kind of language, but you need to be. It can't be, I don't want to know about it or I'm uncomfortable with it. You need to be comfortable with learning about this language because they're not changing their language to fit the coach. We must fit the organisation.
Yes.
It's part of it. Also, we probably are not going to be able to indulge too much. I need to get over myself.
Yes. That just would not work.
I recommend the Coaching Institute's NLP program for that. If this is a self-development journey for you personally, that's great, and have it as that. But whether or not it'll ever translate into a business for you, that can only happen when you can provide value to others. So we have a lot of people joining any of our programs for personal reasons, and I love that. That was me. To a large extent, it's nearly every one of our coaches. They start with a personal development agenda, and I love that, and I'll support that. But we probably can't be too indulgent that it keeps being that. There comes a moment where the switch has got to go on. It's like, okay, now I get it. I now know enough about me to know I'm here to add value to others.
Yes.
Because TECA is all about the value you provide. We never have a lack of clients issue. We have a lack of being able to provide value issue.
Yes.
And if you can learn how to provide value, you'll have a full client list and you'll make a difference as an external provider. But if you're still struggling about what your value is, that's not going to happen and you're not going to get clients. That's the bottom line. So that willingness to very rapidly work out enough about yourself so you can be useful to others is good. It's a start. The ultimate journey, though, is to spend all of your time. Man, they all say it. Zig Ziglar says it. Brian Tracy says it. Tony Robbins. Every single listed person who I've ever been mentored by has said the same thing. Help others achieve their goals and yours will be taken care of. So I think many people in Australia are raised in an environment of, well, and many of Western countries are raised in an environment of what's in it for me? What am I going to get out of it? That's a client mentality. That's what we get hired to deliver. The client gets to say what I want to get out of it.
Yeah.
As a coach, we've got to work out what do they want to get out of it. Our focus has to be on others and not self as much. And that's extremely counterintuitive to most people in Western societies. We are definitely being raised in a culture and economy of what's in it for me, take care of me, but what about mine? That doesn't work as a coach. At this level of coaching, it is all about how to crack the code of how to provide value to others over and over and over again consistently on a very high, really good level. So that's the focus of the program, is how to do that. And you and I are extremely good at that. That's what we do. Yes,
we're coming from a place of having enough certainty of self to know what we're good at and where our gaps might be and how to then overcome those gaps and develop around that.
So we can provide value to them.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Both of us, everybody, all the faculty, we get the knowledge we need so we can provide value, not just for the sake of having knowledge for ourselves or topping ourselves up so we know ourselves better.
Yes.
You know, what's it that Buddha says? Before enlightenment, chop wood. After enlightenment, chop wood. So we're doing the do whilst we're learning about ourselves so we can work out how to do the do better.
And the value of the program is that there's so much content in there, so many different models and theories and ways of doing things that your toolbox just gets jam-packed with stuff. So
absolutely.
Many different ways that you can provide value to
it's not just the templates and the tools. We walk through case studies and examples of what we've done for our clients, how we've applied it, how we use it. I mean, man, I'm running a multi-million-dollar company, a couple of multi-million-dollar companies. We use all of it in our companies. It's how we do business.
And the thinking that sits behind it.
And the thinking that sits behind it, exactly.
So now with the other group, which is around executives and aspiring leaders within the company, I mean, one argument that I've got is, well, surely everyone within the company should be part of the program.
Yes. Yeah, so we we make arrangements with organisations if they want to bring their entire team on board and make it so that it's a program they go through at the same pace together, and we do classes for them specifically. And so if we have 100 people from one organisation join, they get dedicated classes to them with our faculty, and they get to be part of that. They get a bit more tailor-made, most definitely. I agree with you. I think, and see, I'm not a big fan of a coaching culture. Even though I'm a coach, that's not what I'm proposing this program does. Coaching culture needs to be part of it. It's a subset of an outstanding culture, a mission-based culture. A mission-based culture is collaborative, has buy-in naturally, doesn't have to fight for the buy-in. So you're not constantly trying to win people over. There's no need to motivate anybody. They're part of the mission. So we're all about mission-based cultures. And one of the tools we use would be coaching. But another tool would be leadership, which we cover in this program. Another tool would be management, performance management, we cover in the program. So we have multiple models for the accomplishment of the mission.
Yes.
So it's not a coaching culture we're creating here with this program. It's a mission-based culture using coaching as one of the tools. We also show leadership, emotional intelligence, management tools, performance management tools, so we can accomplish it in a way that's best fit for the individuals, for the team, and the organisation. I don't believe one hat fits all. I don't believe everybody should. I don't believe it's appropriate to coach everybody. I simply don't. I think it's actually arrogant to think everyone wants to be asked personal questions
Yes.
about their motivations. That's not cool. And I've been coaching for 9 years. You'd think I'd be, I'm just not. I'm not an enthusiast for any one model. I'm an enthusiast for great results and for functional teams. And the code that's definitely correct is it's mission-based cultures, not coaching-based cultures.
Yes.
Coaching is a tool as it's appropriate. And we're looking at when it's appropriate and how to use it when it is, and how to use something else so you can respect the person and not the model.
So given that that's the foundation and the thinking behind the Executive Coaching Academy, what would be the definition that you would now place on an executive coach? Because it sounds like, based on that definition, that it's quite different from how people would traditionally define an executive coach.
Well, I think you can go in and do very well as an executive coach, whether within or outside an organisation, either way. And you'll do fine. So I know plenty of coaches using using the approach, the methodologies that we have without the thinking behind it, who do really well.
Yes.
Absolutely fine. But if I was to bring it to its ultimate destination, the ultimate purpose of this is to design, structure and implement mission-based cultures. That's what I think we're really here to do. And I can't emphasize enough, Claire, the importance of this. The companies that I see fail or who struggle are transaction-based companies. It's all about what do I get and what do I have to give to get it. Banks, for example. They clearly, on the spectrum of mission-based, and the other end of the spectrum is transaction-based, fall in transaction-based companies. They might not be, but from the outside as a client looking in, they look like they're in it for what they can get. There's nothing wrong with making money. I'm not saying they shouldn't make that money. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is you would never on the spectrum perceive any banks currently as mission-based. Next on the spectrum back from mission-based is people-based. You wouldn't see them as people-based.
No.
Next back on the spectrum from people-based is support-based. On any level of the spectrum, you're seeing the extremes in action.
Yeah.
So the companies we aspire to and that we're excited by, companies like Apple and Zappos and Gary Vaynerchuk's Wine Club, the companies in the world that are creating waves, that are creating movements of clients who are with them and are loyal to them and are raving fans, those companies, they're mission-based companies. They're on a mission that's bigger than the money, and because of that, they make the money.
Which is the next level of business, because it's actually focusing more on the customer or the client, which actually now they really want an experience.
Yes.
And they get an experience through the company having a mission.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And we want to, in a world that is struggling economically, socially and ethically, most people are crying out for a place to plug in where it's safe harbour in terms of culture, economy and ethics. We're crying out for that. And again, I'll put banks down the other end again. They seem devoid of those qualities right now. They might not be, but right now they're doing a very good job of being perceived as pretty bankrupt in those three areas. So the world right now, our clients are crying out for a place to plug into where we feel that our values, that our purpose to be a meaningful contributor to our families, our society, our community is being met. It's not enough anymore to buy a pair of shoes. We want to know that we're doing it in a cool way, or that we're part of something cool that's doing that. That's why Zappos is $1 billion company in 7 years. We want to buy wine, but we want to know when we do it, we're part of something bigger, we're part of a movement. Gary Vaynerchuk, one of the biggest wine clubs on the planet, did that with hardly any effort, just using social media. Apple. I did an experiment. I was in a training room and I asked 45 people, when you think of Apple, what do you think about? Were you there?
Yes, I was.
And not one person, I don't remember how many people in the room, it was actually 130 people. It was in Sydney, wasn't it?
In Sydney? Yeah.
I don't remember which day. It was either 130 or 200 people. I actually don't remember which day it was. And not one person said, when I think of Apple, I think of computers. They all said, I think of the mission, the movement, the coolness, the creativity, the innovation. They're funky. They're trailblazers. They're shitting on PCs. They had all this way of describing it. I went around the room for as long as they took. And not one person said, when I think of Apple, I think of computers. Those companies are the innovators of the world, and people plug into them and will stay for life. Because they represent the ideal. They represent a state, a way of being, a purpose, a mission that is better than some of the shit we're seeing going on when we look around on the news or pick up a newspaper or talk to somebody or see what a bank's doing. The pragmatist will say it's just the way the world is. Yes, maybe it is just the way the world is, but you plug into Apple and suddenly you're in Disneyland. You're suspended from how the world is, and you get to have a different experience. You can walk in and you're treated like you're cool and you count. All of those experiences are the businesses that are doing best in the world right now. From a we care about them place.
Yes.
Now, the argument can be said, but the banks are the ones making the money. Well, I've got a case to make that if the banks in Australia had not received the support of the government and had been required to behave ethically during the economic downturn and had been required for every dollar they got guaranteed from the government they gave to the consumers, they would not be doing well. They got guarantees that the farmers didn't get, the retailers have not got. No other organisations on the planet got bailed except for banks and car companies. And look at them all now, look at their numbers. So I've got a pretty good case. I can go into some detail on this because it's one of my passions. It's like, yeah, I get the money they're making, but also know what it took for them to be able to be propped up and to make that kind of money. And I haven't met a retail client today who got a handout from the government just to keep them in business.
Yeah.
So if the playing field was equal right now,
novel,
it'd be a novel concept, but I wonder who would really be doing well. And the companies we're going to care about in a generation's time, if we want to create a legacy and we're going to be part of that, whereas we're an external coach or we're an internal provider, we want to be part of a legacy as the employee or as the coach. I don't want to just coach someone to make a change. I want to coach someone who's going to have an impact down the line. That the next generation of upcoming leaders are going to have this legacy of language, this legacy of culture that cares, a legacy. We're on a mission here. We're not just doing a job. We're doing something that's a calling that counts. You create a workplace like that and suddenly anything's possible. So that's what TECA is all about.
Yeah.
It may be way too big a goal. I could be shooting way past my level of confidence, but we've done it with many companies. You've been part of that. We've done it in our own group of companies.
We know it works. We've got the
we've seen that it works. Now we've got to translate that and make sure that the TECA coaches can see how it can translate as well for them and for their clients.
And one of the beautiful things about the program as well is that it caters not only for how you can become compelling in the market to the customers, but also compelling to your staff as well, to all of your team members. Yeah. So everything that you just said around creating a mission and creating the experience for the consumer is also relevant internally as well.
Absolutely. And in fact, the two must match. Don't wow the client if you're not prepared to wow your team, because that's arrogance and you couldn't be transparent. The idea with this program is that if you're a coach externally or internally, you can have complete transparency and everyone would love it. And again, I use the banks right now. They could not be transparent about what's going on behind the scenes. A number of companies, they're foreclosing, and the behaviour they've got going is they minimise and mitigate risk. Compared to companies, they would not be able to be transparent and be seen in any way as a decent provider of a service right now. But you take companies that we work with and they could be completely transparent and the consumer would look at it and go, man, I like the way they write. So how you act behind closed doors matters more than how you act when you know there's an audience. So everything about this, regardless of the type of coach you are in the program, is about that you are coaching to the standards and expectations where full transparency would be met with approval and you could write a book about it.
Yes.
That's the standard.
Yes.
Nothing less than that. Every conversation that's ever had behind closed doors could be divulged, and unless it's industrially sensitive.
Yes.
I have some common sense around this. I run a large business. But any conversation about how we write, how feedback's given, how performance management is done, it could be fully transparent and it would be met with approval and delight by your raving fans. That's the standard. And your team would feel the same way.
So if that's the standard that we're shooting for, the qualities, the attitude of individuals coming into the program, what is the attitude that's required of them to really take all the information in and then to deliver on that standard?
Humility. And the more I learn, the more I realise I don't know and the more I need to learn. So a real hunger and attitude of curiosity and openness to discovery. If you come into if anyone comes into the program thinking I'm going to show them what I know, really not going to impress your clients. My attitude when I'm with clients is curiosity and humility. I know I've never met the client where I didn't know more about how to improve performance. That's why I get the gig, obviously. But I've never met the client who left thinking I knew more about how to get the performance. I elevate the client to the expert because I'm curious and I'm humble about what I know and very humble about what I feel I need to know to be the most use. My job is not to show an expert, it's to show the client they can be their own expert. Being a good coach means you know your stuff. Being a phenomenal coach means you help your clients realize they know their stuff. And you'll hear that 1,000 times in the program. I'm not interested in what you know. I'm interested in who you're helping others to know. That the ultimate journey as a coach is the transference of what you know in a way that they feel cool and excited about acting on. It's not about lecturing the client. It's about exciting, engaging, inspiring the client so they can do it for themselves, so they can fire you. That's the best. I get fired by clients all the time, and I love it. I'm not here to keep a client forever. I'm here to have the client be independent of me and get the results, and they refer me 10 clients. So the attitude of humility, curiosity, openness to learn, a willingness to not defend what you think you know. I don't have the same experience in business. I only have 9 years experience in business compared to some of our clients in TECA who have 10, 15, 20, 30 years of experience in business. That isn't the point. The skills that we're going to teach around coaching, leadership, management, performance management, emotional intelligence are not what you were taught when you're in your business. And so being willing to discover the differences would be really helpful. And the other thing that's really helpful is don't hear what you're hearing and think, oh yeah, I'm familiar with that. So sometimes I hear students or clients say, oh yes, that's a lot like, and I'll say, no, don't make it like something else, because then you'll think it is something else and it's not. So people say, I've been coaching for years. No, you haven't. You've been mentoring, you've been telling, and you think you've been coaching, but there is an entire skill set of coaching questions, templates, tools, methodologies that most people on the planet are not familiar with. So being humble and curious about finding out what they are and how they work would be great. And shooting way past learning them is actually the goal. Anybody who learns what's going on in this program is a good student. Yes. Anyone who applies what they're learning is a good master. So you need to be a master of the knowledge, not a student of the knowledge. So how you apply it, I'm interested in. What you've learned is okay, but that's just signing in and learning. How you've applied it and paid it forward, that is the mission. So the measure of success in this program, the assessments and everything we do is how have you used this to help, not what have you learnt to help you. So it's how you pay it forward. It's all I care about in TECA. It's how you go about translating with transparency what you're learning so others can benefit from it. That's it. That's the measure. Who you've helped.
And I think it's exciting. I mean, I'm as part of the faculty, I'm really excited to be part of the business as well, because it is a new wave of business that's coming through. And it's about time. Really.
Yes, it is.
It's really about time that we skilled ourselves in a way to actually deliver a different and a better outcome for businesses, which will lift the entire country as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's about time. I'm very excited to be a part of it, and I really see it as just the beginning of the journey. Yes. So, coming through and being a part of the program is really just the beginning. There's no end point to it. There's no destination at the end. No. If you
lifelong learning.
Exactly.
Lifelong learning.
To be part of the mission means that you're a lifelong learner.
Absolutely. Always seeking. So I've been doing this for so long now, and thousands of hours, and the more I learn, the less I realize I know. And I love that, because then my loop of learning is constantly open. There is no arrival point for me. I want to keep accumulating new ways to be useful. I don't ever want to have to disappoint a client. I couldn't stand it by not being able to serve. So I'm very much part of, my eyes light up at the thought of me discovering another way to serve. Yes. I just light up at that. And that would be the best attitude to have in the program, rather than fear around the unknown or fear around the new. Just, man, I dig just learning a new way of doing it, and your eyes light up around that, because there's something contagious about that. It's the best virus going, is enthusiasm. Yes. And great companies are not doing anything great unless they've got passion. And any company you think that's great, just think about the passion that's installed in that company and who you'd need to be a coach who could serve that company. So think of the best company in the world and how would you need to be to help them. I always think about that. If I was to get hired by X, how would I need to be? And that's been my attitude since I began years ago. It's just thinking, well, if I was to be worthy of that client, how do I make it that they just have to work with me and no one else?
It's a great starting point.
It is a good starting point. Yeah, definitely a starting point. Well said.
Well, thank you, Sharon, for your time, for explaining how this all came to be and the mission that sits behind it. Yes. I believe that if you're part of the program, you believe in that mission as well, and it becomes your own personal mission too. Yes. So on behalf of Sharon and I, we welcome you into the program.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
We look forward to seeing and hearing your success stories around how you go forward and share the knowledge with other businesses to transform how people actually do business.
Absolutely.
To your success and to your learning, we look forward to seeing you on this journey.
Thanks, Claire. Appreciate it.